Huples Cat. Today's exciting adventure, we're going to go to the Lynde House Museum in Whitby and have a look around. There it is. And next to it is a little gift store. A line at least 48 hours in advance on these, just $5 to go in each, and you have to wear masks. History is always important. When I was a kid, we had these x-ray shootings in every shoe store. You had your foot x-rayed when you got new shoes. Thank you.
Such as the little spoon, which was found in the dining room wall.
Oh wow.
And that actually was a very common tradition of the time, was to bury a spoon in the dining room wall when you built a new house for good luck. Good luck.
Ah.
But it's kind of neat because we get to see what kind of cutlery they use.
Yeah.
The shoe has a fun family story. In the 1840s, two of the grandkids were playing up in the attic. The brother took his sister's shoe and he threw it in the corner. Nobody in the family could ever find this shoe. Somehow that story passed down through the family, and not until 140 years later during the restoration did they find the shoe underneath one of the beams in the attic that somehow got underneath.
Oh my. It was a good throw.
Yes. And then that's the original front door lock.
Right. Oh, brass.
In 86 there was a fire, and the fireman knocked in the front door, and that kind of fell off, so it got preserved at least. And those are 200-year-old doll socks. When the Lyndes first moved here, they built a log house. And it wasn't a normal log house, it was a two-story log house. We'll say Janice Lynde never did anything small. So the Lyndes opened their home as an inn and a tavern for the soldiers traveling up and down the road.
For the 1812 war.
Yes. So
Smart.
most famous visitor was General Brock. And yeah, you're standing right where General Brock would have been standing.
Wow.
Yeah, he was definitely in this room because we have stories. So
Having a beer with General Brock.
here are the
Stencil.
wallpaper. They're stencil.
Yeah.
And if you look right back there, you'll see Mrs. Lynde's original stencil.
Oh, that's the original stencil.
That's her.
So he really did reproduce it very well.
Yes. So the whole room basically looked like that when they peeled all of
Right.
the wallpaper off. So the artist came in and tried to go over the lines and stick as close to the original as possible from what they could see. Even copied a few little mistakes
Right.
that were in there, like the overlap right here, if you can see that. Now, Mrs. Lynde was a Quaker.
Right.
And Quakers, if they were doing something like this, would always make sure to include a mistake. Because it reminded them that nobody was perfect. Some sort of mixture of
What's a
things.
citron, eh?
This was the younger kids' room.
Right.
The family raised 8 children here, 4 boys, 4 girls. You know, it's a lovely room. It has an ensuite.
That's good on a cold night. You don't want to go outside.
Exactly. You have to think 1800s Canada was a lot colder and snowier than we have now.
For sure.
Very right, yeah.
This is beautiful.
It is, isn't it? It's so detailed and out with those little tiny squares in the center. This is a pineapple log cabin. So it's not your traditional log cabin, it's a variation on it.
My grandmother used to go to quilting bees with
Okay.
the ladies. Yeah, I have some old ones that are more like this.
The crazy quilt style.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she used to, well, she was Mennonite. She used to use her own clothing when it wore out to be the quilts, right? So
That's
nothing
basically
was
what you're going to
wasted.
see in most of the quilts here.
Right.
It would be,
Right.
because these are all 1800s
Right.
quilts.
Yeah.
So you know,
Nothing was wasted.
No,
Like,
no, not a thing.
not a thing.
And they're wonderful records of what fabrics and so were available and popular at the time.
For sure. Yeah.
We love this one. It tells us exactly when it was made.
That's good. They should all do that.
Yes.
You know, when it's modern times, you don't think about preserving for the next generation. Do you?
No. I mean, just it's a quilt. You're
Yes.
throwing it on the bed. You know.
Exactly.
Little did they know, 120 something years later, it would still be
And their work would be on display.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a color we see used very often anymore, but it's a very nice bedroom kind of color.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
So
love
this
it.
is your bed warming pan, your foot warmer,
Foot warmer.
the pig, as they call it with a little snout,
Oh, the little pig.
your curling iron to stick in the fire.
Right. Oh goodness.
And
Burn your hair off. Oh dear.
Remember, so when she was a kid, her grandmother still had one of those and curled her hair with it.
Goodness.
And she has scars across the back of her neck
goodness.
where she kept burning.
When my dad grew up, he didn't have his bedroom was upstairs. He didn't have a fireplace in there. It was just a stovepipe went
Oh
through.
yes.
So it was very, very cold. He definitely went up with a brick and put it in his bed. I'd wake up with frost.
Yes.
Go running downstairs to the fire.
In 1861, Queen Victoria sent her eldest son, Albert, Bertie as they called him, on the first royal visit to North America. One of his stops was to be Whitby.
Ah.
Oh wow.
Whitby was a very important town at the time. It was a hub for a lot of the trains. It was also a place where you could import stuff over from America across the lake. If you know Port Perry, Peter Perry was the founder of Port Perry, but he first was the founder of downtown Whitby. Downtown Whitby, the Four Corners area, used to be called Perry's Corners.
Oh, okay.
His son, after he'd moved to Port Perry, he stayed here. He was the mayor at the time of Whitby, and he was going to entertain the prince. And he imported this set of furniture from New York,
Wow.
which was a big deal,
Yeah.
for the prince's visit.
Did the prince ever sit on it?
So, they all went, that picture's actually the day the prince was to arrive in town, and they got their picture in the newspaper when they were going to go greet him at the train station.
Right.
And they all went to the train station, and they waited, and they waited, and they waited. Prince was incredibly late.
Oh dear.
Finally pulled into town, and he was like, "Thank you for this welcome, bye, gotta keep going."
Oh no.
But it's original upholstery,
wow.
and from the condition it's in, I would say, they were like, "Nobody's sitting in it,
Yeah.
he might come back."
Exactly.
You never did,
want to
though.
wear it. Oh dear.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Wow.
So,
Oh.
this one's, every time you look at this,
It's
you see
different.
something new.
Beautiful.
That's beautiful.
The amount of fabrics that were used in it, the different embroidery styles, the different little patterns. She lived from 1805 to 1900, so 95 years, long time for her time period. It's kind of amazing that she lived that long, considering she gave birth to 17 children.
Oh my goodness.
When Clarissa and Louisa grew up, they married two brothers, William and John Warren. Brothers had immigrated from Ireland, and they got a farm near the Lynde's property, but they were lousy farmers. They didn't like farming. They were businessmen. And so they gave up the farm and they opened the Warren General Store,
Right.
which is what our gift shop is named in honor of. That's the Warren General Store today. It's not the
Beautiful wallpaper.
It is great wallpaper everywhere. The house is so beautifully done.
This is the boys' room, basically.
Right.
The two eldest sons, Sylvester and Hawkins, shared here. And Sylvester and Hawkins had an important job in the War of 1812. They were dispatch riders. They went all the way from Pickering to Newcastle and back and forth along the road. They were 10 and 12 years old at the time.
Oh my goodness.
That's how we beat the Americans. All of these
Yes.
taverns everywhere and kids doing the work.
When Hawkins grew up, one of his son moved to the States, to Tennessee, with the railroad, and the grandson became a rather well-known author, Francis Lynde. So he wrote over 40 novels. 3 of them were actually turned into silent movies back in the early silent movie days.
Look at the covers. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's gorgeous. Have you read any?
I have read parts of some of them. I have not sat down and actually read. I do want to sit down with them one day, though. They're very good, though. They're very of their time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In that, the writing is very, very
Formal?
and flowery, as they call it.
Right.
So this is the Rainer piano, made here in Whitby, 1868.
Wow.
Wow.
This particular one was the showpiece of their factory.
Yeah.
Mina, the youngest Lynde daughter, owned a Rainer piano. We don't know what happened to hers. So the piano factory and the clock factory were Whitby's two big industries back in the 1860s. This was the first clock factory in North America. Prior to that, it was all, clock makers, individual. This was the first place that used like a production line and made clocks. Fish, especially salmon, was a very popular meal for them because they had Lynde Creek running through their property. They actually had so much salmon that would run up Lynde Creek.
Wow.
That at the correct season, they'd go out there with a pitchfork and they just go like this into the lake, into the creek, and pick up dinner. Right? They didn't even have to do, go fishing.
Yeah, thanks for watching. On the way out, we spotted this house. This has been a 2023 Sleeping Terrier production.